On Monday, the 8th of December 2025, stakeholders from across Zimbabwe's agricultural value chain and even bankers convened in Harare for the Zimbabwe Feed and Fodder multi-stakeholder platform partners breakfast meeting. The gathering marked an important milestone in strengthening collaboration to transform the feed and fodder sector into a driver of national productivity and resilience.
Let us begin with the context. Agriculture in Zimbabwe contributes between 9 and 12% of our GDP. Agriculture employs between 60 and 70% of our population and supplies over 60% of raw materials to our manufacturing sector. Within this livestock subsector, the livestock subsector is not a peripheral activity. It is an economic powerhouse, supporting the livelihoods of an estimated 70% of our rural population. It is a critical pillar for food security, employment, and poverty reduction. Our presence here today is a direct declaration that the Zimbabwe Feed and Fodder multi-stakeholder platform is a key instrument for implementing our national blueprint, the Agricultural Food Systems and Rural Transformation Strategy 2.
This is a very important issue. It's a crisis. Nutrient deficiencies cost, apart from that emotional and waste of these things. And this I'm talking about stunting without even commenting other forms of malnutrition. So we have 30% children stunted, but there are many more children who are affected because of poor food. Not just hunger only, but the quality of food that they should be able to access. Nutrient deficiencies, stunting alone costs Africa 10% of its GDP. It wipes out 10% of Africa's GDP. 50% of all childhood deaths are nutrient deficiency related. I'm not sure if any agenda matters more urgently and fundamentally and in economic terms on this continent than the need to provide sufficient food of sufficient quality. It's a fundamental right. It's a fundamental issue that needs to be addressed as an urgent and critical issue. This requires a radical reform to first how we frame the need for livestock systems. This needs to lead to how we position the livestock sector. Livestock source foods are not only protein, they're nutrient dense and in a highly bioavailable form, making them invaluable, low-cost sources for meeting dairy requirements. Somebody said if you have one egg, it's like 8 plates of beans. How many babies can eat 8 plates of beans? How many children can you stuff with 8 plates of beans? We appreciate beans, we have beans. My family is known to cook beans extremely well. When they make a pot of beans, you will not eat your meat first. You will make a beeline for the beans. We've perfected the art of making great bean stew. But there are issues of children who need high-dose foods so that they can have small amounts and meet their daily requirements. Secondly, our lives, and by the way, the requirement for those nutrients is for all stages of life. At every stage, before the child is conceived, the parents better be healthy. And I think a lot of people today are having problems around conception because of the kind of diets that they are consuming or have consumed. And it goes into how, throughout the gestation period, pregnancy, how the child is born, infancy, child development, how our youth reach their full potential, the kind of energy that we bring to our work. Sometimes if you're dull in the morning, please check what diet you've had. And when you get to my age, you lose body mass very fast if you are not eating enough livestock source foods. I don't want to call it protein. Our livestock source foods are the only foods that have all the essential nutrients all packaged in one. So humans have specific inalienable physiological requirements at every stage of life. Left unmet, the cost is paid physically, in productivity, in reproductive outcomes, in health and in well-being. This is a serious issue. Secondly, our lives are translated by the livelihoods that we select. And livelihood assets explicitly are protected by constitutions. We saw here animals that have died. This is somebody's investment. We also see environments that are key assets for protection. They are protected in our constitutions across Africa, across the world. This is the regulatory basis for protecting our production assets.
I'll start off with a presentation which is titled Transforming Crisis of a US 25 billion opportunity. And transforming this, we ask ourselves, why are we here today? We have three key things that I would like to point out. 70% of rural livelihoods are sustained by livestock. The livestock sector supporting 35% of the agricultural GDP, which is a critical economic pillar. Also, we have about 2.3 million cattle endangered by a recent drought of 2023-2024. The main challenge being critical deficit of feed and fodder. Here I present the feed side, where my own computation is 33% metric ton requirement, and we are only supplying about 65%. And this deficit represents a fragmented, reactive approach, maybe the way we are looking at it. We need to really address the issues so that we can attain good productivity of our livestock and also create wealth from the livestock.
We are looking at localized processing, reduction in transport costs, and stabilization in terms of feed prices, which is the main culprit that I pointed earlier on, that feed cost accounts for about 80%, 70 to 80% of variable costs. Then we also talk of the carbon credits, which are linked to the rangeland restoration. And we are talking of investment of about $1 million there for about 5,000 hectares. And in terms of expected returns, it's about $80 to $100 per hectare per year from those carbon credits. Then we talk of the digital traceability and big data analytics. I think previous speakers, they also spoke about this earlier on. We can move on. Yes, on the strategic blueprint, some of the proposed opportunities or solutions, we have 6 pillars. And one of the pillars is about policy and regulation, where we talk of establishment of feed and fodder as a standalone economic sector. I think previous presenters have also hinted to this. The second pillar in terms of governance. Governance, we're talking of a centralized trust or registration of a trust. I think it's Professor Makoni who have highlighted that this is work in progress, and I'm happy it's work in progress. Then we have investment promotion, where we talking of this breakfast meeting as one of them. Then digital platforms or digital innovations, resource mobilization, traceability and quality. Now, I want to talk about the key highlighters or key metric indicators in terms of the impact, which is the next slide. Talking about feed and fodder and its synergies or how it feeds into this livestock sector and into agriculture, GDP and our economy, we also want to reflect on the key impacts. There are several, but in the interest of time and space, we have put just a few here. You would notice that immediate results will be a reduction in terms of outstanding. Then we are also creating jobs, so there is job creation. So this sector, the launching of the feed and fodder economic sector, it also opens massive and huge opportunities in terms of jobs, talk of full-time equivalents, you talk of the micro, small, medium enterprises. We are seeing openings, right? We are also seeing fodder production increasing, which means the supply base is broadening and deepening to meet the huge and current demand in terms of feed.
And thank you, Dr. Modiwa, for a very good presentation. I think this is one of the best sector profiles I have seen. You have worked it out very well with very credible metrics, and I request the Honorable PS representative to look at the presentation and confirm every number, because that is going to be the signature investment pitch for the feed and fodder sector for Zimbabwe, wherever they go. So if they go to other countries to profile this sector, those are the numbers they will use. So please look at them, be comfortable, because when private sector grabs something, they'll make it their home, and that's what they use to attract investors into the sector. So we need to have the assurance that those numbers have been verified and you are comfortable that your sector is presented that way. That's also what we have done for other countries, so that we do not end up with the numbers that are being presented by private sector, but the government is still wondering, is that true? Is that true? Please check, because you have more documentation than any other person. Then two, I think it's good to applaud Zimbabwe for the things that they have overcome.